Hi, welcome back, and thanks for watching. So, in the last video, I kind of gave you a bit of, a description of this memorize it method, and a bit of a description of why it's, why or what the advantages are, or at least this one advantage that you learn it more completely. And I think I gave you a good enough description of why you would learn it more completely than you would if you were just writing something down very mechanically. And there is one other advantage that I want to go over with this write it down method that is really important. And it's mainly important for jazz musicians, but it can be just as important for classical musicians. And that is that this might be kind of obvious, but it's memorized. It's memorized. So, it's not like this write it down method where, I've got this physical record of the work I've done and I have to go and pick up a book and, try to figure out where, pick up my binder full of transcriptions if I want to access my, if I want to remember what, how Cannonball played that 1-2-5-1, lick that he had. With this memorize it method, it's already memorized. And, granted, I can take something from this write it down method and memorize the notes, I guess. But with this memorize it method, it's already done. All I have to do is kind of keep it memorized. And that kind of gets into, this is an important skill for classical musicians to have as well, I guess. But for jazz musicians, this is kind of... It's almost, I would say, what it means to be a jazz musician now. Where if you are, you're a jazz musician, primarily, I guess it's not all of what you do, but a lot of what you do is go out to jam sessions. You go out and you call tunes at a jam, and you don't. A lot of jam sessions let you have real books, but you should frankly know tunes. You should be able to play without any music in front of you when you go out to jam sessions. And if you really want to get gigs as a jazz player, and definitely if you want to get gigs as a commercial musician, like a lot of the music I play is kind of more. I would call it commercial music. It's we're playing more pop tunes and more funk tunes and stuff like that. That's designed to be, I guess, more widely appealing than kind of a jazz audience. And when you play in groups like that, you just can't read music, or you can maybe read music for like one or two gigs if it's a new tune, but you just can't you just can't have music with you. Everything you play has to be memorized. So with this memorize it method, this other positive side to this might be kind of obvious, but it's already memorized. So you don't have to memorize it again if you had written it down. So anyway, that's, I guess, it. And again, I touched on this in the last video that when you do this memorize it method, it's going to take much longer. Or I shouldn't say it's going to take longer than this write it down method that I'm going to show you how to use. But it's you get a lot out of it. You really do, and you should be able to memorize a complete jazz solo at one point in your life, even if it's just because a teacher makes you do it once. There's a really great piano player in Denver right now. Named Mark Sabatella. I remember there was one time he told me that he's only ever, he transcribes a lot. He definitely transcribes a lot, and he's a fantastic piano player. But I remember he told me one time he's only ever transcribed one jazz solo in its entirety. He's transcribed a lot, but he's only transcribed, like, he's heard certain things that he's liked, and he said, like, oh, those two measures were really cool. Let me figure out how to play those two measures. So, he's kind of like really picked apart jazz solos like that and really just honed in on little snippets, I guess. And he's actually said that, he's only ever transcribed one complete jazz solo, and it was in college because a professor made him do it. So, and I don't think he'd say they got nothing out of it, but there's just, I guess, different strokes for different folks. But I would say if you have aspirations of playing jazz or really playing any type of more commercial music, you should be able to memorize, like completely memorize, at least one complete jazz solo. And I would absolutely say that. If you talk to the guy I kind of told you about in the last playlist, this guy Brad Good, he actually says he should memorize at least 40. He says that, in order to be a very serious improviser, in order to be a very serious jazz improviser, you have to learn and just completely know for the rest of your life off the top of your head. You have to just know at least, at the bare minimum, 40 great jazz solos. So anyway, I'll kind of leave you with that. And as I said, in this playlist, we're really going to concentrate in on our write it down method. And I will make another playlist that shows you how to do the memorize it method. But I firmly believe, and I'm not going to say like in order to be a real jazz musician, you have to have written down 40 jazz solos. I'm not going to say anything like that. I'm just going to say that I think that this write it down method is an important thing for any musician to have kind of in their toolbox of stuff they do. And I'll just throw this out there right now. And I'm by no means the greatest saxophone player in the world. Absolutely not. But and this didn't happen immediately when I graduated college. But I make a livable income right now from playing. I teach a little bit on the side too, but my main income that pays my rent and my car payment and keeps the electricity on, comes from playing. And if I didn't know this, this method that I'm going to show you in this playlist, I would be broke. I would be living with my parents, and I would be riding my bike everywhere. Not to say that living with your parents and riding your bike everywhere is an awful thing, but I wouldn't have a job right now if I hadn't figured out, I guess, this write it down method. So anyway, I hope you follow me throughout the rest of this playlist and that you get something out of it. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.